Have you ever had that gut feeling? One that told you someone in your life wasn't just angry with you, but that they wanted to see you fall? Not just disagreement, not just dislike, but destruction. What if I told you that Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor of Rome, offered wisdom that helps you detect exactly this kind of threat? Before we dive in, I want you to really think about your relationships, friends, colleagues, even family. This video might just change how you see them. So if you're interested in protecting your peace, identifying hidden enemies, and living by the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy, make sure to subscribe to Stoic Sage and like this video. And trust me, watch until the end, because one of these signs could be hiding in your closest circle, and seeing it might just save your life. The enemy in the shadows. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But he never said ignore them. The Stoics believed in rational awareness, seeing things as they are, not as you wish them to be, and that's where most people fail. We think, oh, he's just having a bad day, or she's probably jealous but harmless. But the Stoics teach us to observe human nature without illusion, because beneath passive-aggressive comments, subtle sabotage, or too sweet smiles, there may lie intent not just to hate but to destroy. 1. They study you like a strategist. Have you ever been in love? I mean really in love, where your heart felt like it wasn't yours anymore? Where one person became your sun, your moon, and your reason to wake up each morning? Now think back to that moment when things started to feel off. You couldn't quite explain it, but something in their eyes, or their silence, felt different. Like they weren't listening to you out of love anymore, but out of calculation. That's not just heartbreak. That's the first chilling sign. They study you like a strategist. Let me tell you about Arjun, a soft-spoken, kind-hearted guy I once knew. He fell in love with a woman who seemed like everything he ever dreamed of. She laughed at his jokes, remembered his favorite songs, supported his goals, or so he thought. But slowly things changed. She stopped laughing quite as hard. Her questions became more specific, not about what made him happy, but what made him anxious. She noticed what triggered his insecurity. She took mental notes of every argument he regretted, every moment he let his guard down. Arjun thought they were growing closer, but she wasn't loving him, she was studying him, preparing. Now pause. Ask yourself, has anyone ever done that to you? Have you shared your childhood fears, your biggest regrets, your most painful breakup story, only to feel those moments thrown back at you during arguments? That's not love. That's leverage. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change." But what if someone remembers your mistakes not to help you grow, but to make you fall? That's when you're not in a relationship. You're in a war, and only one of you knows it. You see, when someone wants to destroy you, they don't shout. They observe. They act like they care, but they're actually collecting data. They want to know what scares you, what embarrasses you, what breaks you, so when the time is right, they can use it. Not to protect you, not to love you, to control you. So ask yourself, in your love story, was your partner a safe space or a strategist? Did they lean in to understand you? Or to study your blueprint, because a true partner sees your flaws and shields them. But the one who wants to destroy you? They see your cracks and aim their arrows right there. If any of this feels familiar, I want you to know something. You are not weak for falling in love. You are human, and Marcus Aurelius taught us to be strict with ourselves, but never blind to others. So don't blame yourself, but don't ignore the signs either. Because when someone studies you not to love, but to break you, that's not just hatred. That's destruction with a plan. And this might just be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. 2. They sabotage your reputation subtly. Have you ever been in love with someone who, at first, made you feel like the most important person in the world? But somewhere down the line, you began to feel smaller, not just in your relationship, but around your friends, your family, even at work? Let me take you into a story that might feel a little too familiar. There was a girl named Mira. She was radiant, confident, and deeply in love with a man named Rishi. In the beginning, their love felt like poetry. He adored her, complimented her, supported her ambitions. Everyone who saw them thought, that's real love. But then tiny things began to shift. It started at dinner parties. When Mira spoke, Rishi would interrupt, sometimes with a joke, sometimes with a correction. Always subtle, never harsh. He'd laugh and say, "Mira always gets the details wrong. She's so cute like that." Or, "She's passionate but a little dramatic, you know how she is." Everyone laughed. Mira smiled, but something inside her dimmed. Then came the friends. Some stopped calling. Some acted strange. One day she overheard a friend say, "I didn't know she was struggling so much emotionally. Rishi said she's been unstable lately." Mira froze. She had never said anything like that to anyone. But he had. Do you feel it? That slow erosion of how the world sees you, not because of one big betrayal, but because of a steady drip of doubt, seeded by the one person who claimed to love you. That's not just manipulation. That's sabotage. And Marcus Aurelius warned us about this over 2,000 years ago. He said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." You see, your enemy won't always attack you head on. The most dangerous ones wear love like a costume. They pretend to support you, while quietly dismantling how others see you. Because if they can tarnish your reputation, they don't have to fight you directly. They let the world doubt you, until you begin to doubt yourself. Have you ever felt misunderstood by your own friends after being with someone? Have you ever started to wonder if maybe you are too sensitive, too emotional, too much? Pause, reflect, because if the person you love repeatedly jokes about your flaws in public, shares your vulnerabilities behind your back, or casually implies that you're not all there, to others, they're not defending your character, they're destroying it. Marcus said, and when you wake up, tell yourself, "Today, I will meet people who are jealous, deceitful, and arrogant." He wasn't being cynical, he was preparing us. So let me ask you, in your love story, did they hold your heart? Or did they hold your name as a weapon? Because when someone tears down your reputation behind a smile, it's not love. It's a slow assassination of your identity. And if this has ever happened to you, know this: you are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are waking up. 3, they drain your confidence over time. Let me ask you something personal. And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Do you even recognize the person you were before they came into your life? That version of you who smiled without guilt, who walked into rooms with a spark, who truly believed that they were worthy of love. Now I think about how you feel today. Less certain? Less alive? Maybe even a little ashamed of how much of yourself you gave away? If that resonates, then you may be living through sign number 3, they drain your confidence over time. Let me tell you a story. There was a boy named Ayan. He was one of those people who lit up every space he entered. He wasn't perfect, he knew that, but he had dreams, confidence, a laugh that came from the heart, and a voice that people listened to. Then he met someone. She was charming, attentive, always around, and at first it felt like a dream. She admired him, or so he thought. But then it began, small comments, a slight smirk when he talked about his goals. "That's cute," she said once when he shared an idea for his startup. Not cruel, not loud, just enough to make him second guess. At a party, she whispered, "You get a little too excited when you talk. It's kinda embarrassing." Another time when he dressed up for a date, she said, "That shirt? Really? It's not bad, but it's not you." And slowly Ayan stopped dreaming out loud, stopped dressing up, stopped laughing with the same spark. It was like he became a watered-down version of the man he once was. And the worst part? He didn't even realize it was happening. Because that's the terrifying thing about this kind of destruction. It's silent. They don't attack your self-worth directly. They wear it down, day by day, doubt by doubt. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But how can you reclaim that power when the person standing beside you is stealing it piece by piece? So I'll ask you, just you and me here, when did you stop feeling like enough? When did you start filtering your thoughts before you spoke? When did you begin seeking permission to be yourself? Because if love makes you feel small, if your partner's affection comes only when you're weak, not when you're strong, that's not love. That's domination disguised as care. And you, my friend, deserve better. You deserve someone who sees you and says, "Don't shrink, shine." You deserve someone who lifts your confidence, not steals it. Marcus also said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So protect your thoughts like gold, especially from the person who claims to love you yet leaves you doubting your very worth. Because once you see this clearly, you'll never allow it again, or they slowly isolate you from your support system. When was the last time you truly opened up to your best friend without feeling guilty about it? When did you last sit with your family, laugh until your stomach hurt, or share something personal without fear of how your partner might react later? If you have to think hard about that, you may already be living through sign. Number 4, they're slowly isolating you from your support system. Let me tell you about Tara. She was magnetic, always surrounded by people who loved her. Her group chats were buzzing, her parents adored her, and her best friend since college was practically her soul twin. And then she met Varun. At first, he loved everything about her world. He'd smile when she talked to her friends, compliment how close she was to her family, even tag along to family dinners and get-togethers. But slowly, the weather changed. One night, she came home from a long call with her best friend. Varun casually said, "You know, she always seems a little too involved in your life. Don't you think it's unhealthy?" Another time, he rolled his eyes and muttered, "Your mom treats you like a child. You need to set boundaries." And when she made weekend plans with her old friends, he smiled but then fell strangely silent. Suddenly, he'd have a bad day whenever she was out, or he'd guilt her by saying, "I just thought we'd spend the weekend together. But go have fun, I guess." Over time, Tara began to withdraw. She canceled calls, skipped reunions, avoided her mom's weekly check-ins, not because she didn't love them anymore, but because it was easier than dealing with Varun's passive reactions. And that's how it happens. Not in one big dramatic moment, but gradually, quietly, like a slow leak in a boat you didn't realize was sinking. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never esteem anything as of advantage to you that will make you break your word or lose your self-respect." Yet this type of person, the one who seeks to destroy you, they know your self-respect, lives in your relationships. And so they pull those threads one by one until you're standing alone, with no one left to tell you the truth. Because when you're isolated, it's easier for them to control the narrative, to define reality, to gaslight you into believing they are the only one who really understands you. So ask yourself honestly, who have you stopped talking to just to keep the peace? Who have you pushed away? Not because you wanted to, but because your partner's comfort demanded it. You see, true love connects you to more love. It doesn't cut the ropes of your life, it helps tie them tighter. So if your love story is one where you've become more alone, it may not be love at all. 5, they turn your vulnerabilities into weapons. Have you ever shared a deep hidden part of your heart with someone, and later wished you hadn't? That one fear you thought they'd understand, that painful memory you hoped they'd protect, that moment you trusted them, with the parts of you no one else had ever seen. Do you remember what that moment felt like? For Aman, it was the night he told her about his father. They were lying under the stars on the rooftop, wrapped in silence, and he whispered something he hadn't told anyone since. Childhood, how he always felt like he was never good enough, how his father's absence made him question his own worth, and how no matter how much he achieved, he carried a fear that one day, everyone would leave. She held his hand that night and said, "You can always be safe with me." He believed her. But months later, during a fight, she threw those words back at him like daggers. "No wonder you're so insecure, you're still crying about your daddy issues." And just like that, the safe space became a war zone. Have you ever felt that? When the very thing you once offered as a gift of closeness is used to humiliate you, to silence you, to control you? Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." But when the injury comes from someone you love, it doesn't feel like revenge. It feels like betrayal. You see, this is how people who want to destroy you operate. They don't attack your strengths, they disarm your soul. They make you feel safe, only to turn your softness into your greatest weakness. Aman began to shrink after that. He stopped sharing. He second-guessed every word. He kept his pain to himself even when it threatened to crush him. Because he had learned, the hard way, vulnerability wasn't a bridge, it was a trap. So I ask you, from one heart to another, who have you given your truth to? And did they protect it or weaponize it? Because love isn't about always agreeing. It isn't about being perfect. But it is about honor. True love guards your soul like sacred ground. It holds your fears with both hands and says, "I will never throw this at you, even when I'm angry." If the person you love uses your tears as ammunition or your past as a punchline, that is not love. That is warfare disguised as romance. Marcus reminded us, look well into yourself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if you look there. So look within, reclaim your story. And remember, Your pain is not a weapon. Your heart is not a battlefield. And your vulnerability is not a flaw, it's your power. How to respond like Marcus Aurelius. You might be wondering, what now? What if you've recognized someone from these signs? Here's what Marcus would tell you. 1. Don't retaliate in kind. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. 2. Guard your mind and your peace. You have power over your mind, not outside events. 3. Live by your values regardless of their tactics. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. 4. Walk away with clarity, not bitterness. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. 5. Focus on the work of your character. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Let me be clear, this video isn't about fear. It's about clarity. Stoicism teaches us to see things as they are, to face the truth without panic or illusion. If you recognize even one of these signs, don't just sit with it. Reflect, protect your energy, strengthen your boundaries, and walk the path of reason and virtue, because destruction only thrives in silence and ignorance. But your awareness, that's your shield. And remember, not everyone who's quiet is peaceful, and not everyone who smiles wishes you well. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.